Fewer international travelers visited the U.S. this summer, and experts warn that trend might likely continue. The World Travel and Tourism Council says the U.S. is the only country to see foreign visitor spending fall in 2025.
It is because of the political climate, of course. From Sweden, we're not so fond of the guy in charge, so to speak.
And travel research firm Tourism Economics predicts an 8.2% drop in international arrivals this year. The group expects that the travel slowdown seen this summer will persist into the months ahead. Analysts blame the president's tariffs and immigration crackdowns for alienating visitors from around the world.
A lot of people goes to different places instead of going to the States.
$12.5 billion. That's the size of the hole analysts say could open up in the United States economy from one thing most people shrug off as just travel. But this is not just fewer selfies at landmarks. This number is tied to international visitor spending, money that usually floods into hotels, restaurants, malls, tour companies, and local workers' pockets. And multiple forecasts say 2025 is shaping up as a down year for inbound travel.
And just for a statewide perspective, Visit Florida numbers show 100,000 fewer Canadians have visited this state so far this year.
And here's the part that should make you sit up. Tourism is one of those industries that looks optional until it suddenly isn't. Because when visitor money slows, it doesn't just hurt vacation spots. It hits paychecks, rent payments, and in some areas, even housing demand. So, what's really happening? Why are travelers pulling back? And why does it feel like this slump is sending a bigger warning? Let's go straight into it. Picture a hotel front desk worker in Orlando on a Friday night. Last year, the line wrapped around the lobby. This year, it's manageable. Too manageable. Or think about a small restaurant owner near a major attraction in New York. They used to get slammed by international groups ordering big, easy, high-margin meals. Now the dining room is still busy, but the big spenders feel missing. That's the real-life version of what the numbers are hinting at. The World Travel and Tourism Council says international visitor spending in the United States is projected to fall by around 7% in 2025, about $12.5 billion, dropping to just under $169 billion from $181 billion in 2024. And this isn't just one group sounding alarms. The U.S. Travel Association forecast also pointed to inbound international visits falling in 2025, but that's not all, because the reasons behind it are even more revealing. Here's a scenario that feels painfully relatable. A family from the United Kingdom finally plans their big United States trip. They build the budget, flights, hotels, food, attractions. They're excited until they do the conversion. That $300 hotel night doesn't feel like $300 anymore. It feels like a punch in the wallet. Add meals, tipping, transportation. Suddenly the same trip looks drastically more expensive than a week somewhere else. That's one of the major forces cited in the reporting around this tourism slowdown. A strong United States dollar makes visiting the United States costlier for foreigners. And it gets worse. Because when a destination becomes the expensive option, travelers don't just shorten the trip. They swap the trip, they go somewhere their money feels powerful again. And once a traveler builds a new habit, new favorite cities, new routes, new annual vacations, it can take years to win them back. But the strong dollar isn't the only thing pushing people away. Now imagine a frequent visitor from Canada. They visited the United States for years. Quick flights, weekend shopping, sports games, family trips. But lately, they're hearing stories. They're seeing news. They're feeling uncertainty around the travel experience. Questions about entry, rules, and whether it's going to be a hassle. And that hesitation matters because tourism runs on confidence. In the Reuters coverage tied to the World Travel and Tourism Council projection, the decline is linked not only to the strong dollar, but also to policy and border-related concerns that can discourage travel. It sounds intangible until you realize how travel decisions actually get made. Most people don't cancel because of one giant reason. They cancel because of 5 small reasons stacked together: price, uncertainty, stress, delays, and the feeling that the trip might not be fun anymore. But wait, if international travelers are hesitating, you'd expect domestic travelers to fill the gap, right? Well, yes, and no. And this is where it gets crazier. Here's what travel demand looks like right now for a lot of households. One family is still taking flights, booking resorts, ordering room service like nothing changed. Another family is doing the travel math at the kitchen table and saying, let's just drive 2 hours, pack snacks, and come home early. That split is showing up in company results. Marriott, for example, has described strong luxury travel demand while noting uneven travel patterns. Luxury up, more budget-oriented segments under pressure. So, yes, there's still travel money out there, but the middle is getting squeezed. And when the middle gets squeezed, the everyday tourism economy feels it first. Cheaper hotels, chain restaurants, local attractions, and the worker who depends on volume, not VIPs. And what happens next would shock a lot of people, because the pain doesn't stay in hotels, it spreads into whole cities. Think about a rideshare driver in Las Vegas. They don't need every tourist to be rich. They just need a steady stream of arrivals. Or a tour guide in New York who relies on big summer groups. When international travel dips, those group bookings can thin out, and suddenly the calendar has holes. Or a small souvenir shop owner in Orlando who says, I'm open the same hours, but the foot traffic isn't what it was. And here's the part people miss. Tourism dollars often function like local oxygen. They support service jobs. They help cities collect hotel and sales taxes. They keep small businesses alive in areas where locals alone cannot. This is why a drop in inbound travel forecasts matters beyond the travel industry itself, because the spending is concentrated and it has a multiplier effect. But that wasn't the whole story. Because there's a second-order impact that sneaks up on people, and it ties directly into housing. Let's make this real. Picture someone who bought a second property in a vacation market. They didn't buy it to live in. They bought it because short-term rentals were printing money. They told themselves, tourism is unstoppable. Bookings will always be strong. Now imagine their bookings soften for months. Nothing dramatic, just lower occupancy, more empty weekdays, more last-minute discounts, more guests asking for deals. But the mortgage payment? That stays the same. And if they used an adjustable rate, it could be even worse. So what do? They cut prices. They list on more platforms. They offer discounts. And if that still doesn't work, they start considering selling. That's how tourism softness can bleed into housing, especially in markets with lots of investor-owned short-term rentals. It doesn't crash the whole country overnight. It pressures the most tourism-dependent pockets first. And if enough owners decide this isn't worth it anymore, inventory can rise in those areas. And that's when prices start feeling gravity. It gets worse when you remember this. Tourism downturns don't just reduce income, they can reduce local job stability too. And job stability is what supports rent and mortgages. Now here's the big question. Are we looking at a temporary dip or a warning flare? This is where the forecasts get interesting. U.S. Travel's outlook suggests inbound international visits could decline in 2025, but then return to growth in 2026. So one interpretation is simple. 2025 is a rough patch. Strong dollar, confidence issues, global uncertainty. Then things stabilize. But there's another interpretation that makes people uneasy. What if tourism is just the first visible area where the pressure shows up? Because tourism is optional spending. It's sensitive. It reacts early when households feel squeezed or uncertain. That makes it a canary in the coal mine. And when you connect that to broader cost pressures, high prices, debt stress, uneven incomes, you start to see why a travel story can actually be an economic warning story. And that's why this $12.5 billion number has people watching closely. So yes, the headline is tourism, but the real story is confidence. When international visitors pull back, it means the United States feels more expensive, more complicated, or less appealing than it did. When domestic travelers split into still spending and cutting back, that's a sign the economy is not hitting everyone the same way. And when a tourism slowdown starts pressuring short-term rentals and tourism-heavy communities, the housing ripple is not a theory anymore. It becomes a budgeting problem for real people. So here's the question I want you to sit with. If tourism is already flashing yellow, what happens if the next category to slow down is not optional? Because that's when things stop being a travel story and start being a national money story.